For nearly half a century, Voyager 2 has been humanity's farthest ambassador, a fragile machine carrying our voice into the depths. It has crossed the solar system, outperformed expectations, and even entered space between stars, where its instruments continue to whisper back messages in the distance from beyond the sun's reach. But recently, something changed. Its steady signal began suddenly to give up. Then nothing. In a time where even the tiniest anomaly can be found carefully catalogued, the sudden muting of Voyager 2 at the exact moment it crossed paths with the trajectory of 3I Atlas. The crimson visitor from another galaxy who has already defied the laws of physics is too precise to dismiss as coincidence. Did the spacecraft encounter interference from the item? Was it silenced deliberately? Or has it stumbled upon something so vast and incomprehensible that its robust systems were unable to survive? What transpired during that lull could be the most terrifying finding yet. 77 saw the launch of Voyager 2, a descendant of Voyager 1. Both were designed as emissaries to explore the outer planets and eventually the interstellar frontier. Against all odds, it has endured cosmic radiation, micrometeoroid strikes, and decades of silence from Earth's sunlit skies. Its plutonium heart still pulses faint warmth into the cold of deep space, keeping alive instruments for determining magnetic fields, charged particles, and faint plasma winds. Until now, every anomaly it reported could be explained. Every decrease in signal was caused by known interference. But at the end of September, when its trajectory carried it into 3I Atlas's extended plasma envelope, engineers noticed something different. At first, the data streams became garbled, filled with distortions that looked more like moving than static patterned interference, waves of disruption that repeated with eerie precision. After a few hours, the signal weakened and muttered nothing. No final message, no mechanical failure detected, just the abrupt vanishing of a voice that has spoken for 46 years. One must comprehend the implications. Take a look at the real 3I Atlas. Stumbled upon as the third known interstellar object, it was first assumed to be a different fragment of Oumuamua, an icy shard passing harmlessly through our system. But telescopes soon revealed it was no ordinary body. Its coma swelled until it was nearly half the size of the sun. Its glow shifted into a deep crimson, pulsing in a rhythm that is too precise for natural, an 84.6-second heartbeat. Radar studies suggested it absorbed occasionally and reflected them at others, as though manipulating electromagnetic waves at will. For Voyager 2 and other spacecraft through this vast plasma cloud, the risks were enormous. Its antenna, tuned to capture faint signals from billions of miles away, may have become snared in a storm of interference far beyond what engineers could ever create for. However, the type of disruption, structured, rhythmic, and patterned, raises darker inquiries. Did the object merely overpower the instruments on Voyager with raw plasma power, or was it aware of the spacecraft, a probe for what it was carrying humanity's fingerprint into space, and respond accordingly? Though Voyager's main signal has disappeared, radio observatories examining its last known coordinates report something other than complete silence. Tiny details are lost in the static, fluctuations that occur at regular intervals and match the crimson pulse of 3I Atlas itself. To the untrained ear, it is just noise, but to cryptographers and signal analysts, it appears to be alarming. Like modulation, as though the spacecraft's transmitter has not stopped entirely, but been hijacked, its faint voice forced to follow the rhythm of the visitor. If this is true, Voyager 2 is no longer sending us data about plasma winds or cosmic rays. It is echoing back the heartbeat of something alien. Its voice has been altered to speak in another's language. Controlling the mission, this is profound and terrifying all at once. It suggests not a failure, but contact. A contact not in the way we imagined, not with greetings or music or mathematics, but with silence, rhythm, and the using our own technology to make a messenger for something that we are not yet aware to decode. If Voyager 2 has indeed been absorbed under the control of 3I Atlas, then Earth itself is now on notice. The inquiry when it fell, it was billions of miles away, silent, safely outside our orbit and far beyond the planets. Yet the same forces that hijacked its signal are now carried by solar winds, sweeping inward, and coronal mass ejections rippling toward the regions of our solar system's interior fragile world resides. If a solidified spacecraft constructed to withstand the worst aspects of deep space can be muted, subsequently, what chance do our satellites, Our communications, or even our own frail when the object's magnetic field does resonance get stronger. Already, seismographs whisper of rhythms matching its beat. With magnetometers rise wherever they go, anomalies and auroras descend should not. Voyager could be the initial casualty, the first messenger to fall silent, though it won't be the last. For 3i Atlas isn't going by unnoticed. It is interacting. It is choosing, and its gaze has already shifted closer toward the planet that initiated Voyager's launch in the first place. After Voyager 2's abrupt silence, the Deep Space Network continued to scan its final coordinates with an obsession, and that persistence paid off. Weak, almost ghost-like signals were detected. Not the structured telemetry the spacecraft normally transmits, but low-frequency pulses too regular to be dismissed as noise. At first, scientists believed these were distortions from the sun's solar wind. However, if the intervals were compared, they matched precisely with the crimson heartbeat of 3i Atlas. This raised the chilling possibility that Voyager 2 was no longer a free transmitter, but a mirror, echoing the interstellar object's rhythm. Even the strength of the pulse appeared to vary according to which observatory was listening, as though the signal recognized its observer. This wasn't silence. It was something far worse, a hijacking. A machine built to speak for humanity was now speaking for something else, and the words it repeated were not ours. Inside NASA's mission control, panic turned to paralysis. On paper, the systems on the spacecraft had not failed. No temperature spikes, no sudden drop in power, and no major hardware failure. Yet the signal they were receiving was no longer their own. Several engineers argued that they should attempt a full reset, blasting commands across billions of miles in the hope of forcing Voyager 2 back into compliance. Others cautioned that any command might only deepen the problem, feeding the very interference that had rewritten its voice. What if it was no longer in Voyager's hands-own transmitter? What if the commands failed themselves, were spied on, investigated, and answered by not the probe but 3i Atlas? The debate split the team, but one truth united them. Like never before, if a spacecraft had gone silent in that manner. Voyagers had survived micrometeoroids, cosmic rays, and the bitterness of interstellar space. However, they had never crossed paths with something that seemed to consider. As word leaked of Voyager's, independent researchers began in silence to think that this wasn't just interference, but intention. The idea of an interstellar object acting intentionally is frightening, but the evidence was mounting. First, the red glow of 3i Atlas also changed abruptly for chemistry to explain alone. After that, it was impossible resistance to the pull of Mars' gravity. And now Voyager 2, humanity's most distant voice, had stopped speaking as soon as it entered the plasma surrounding it. Was this an accident of physics, or was the probe deliberately silenced? Some theorists argued that Voyager's golden record, its cultural message, and it may have served as a lighthouse highlighting the object's artificial nature. If true, then 3 Atlas did not just encounter Voyager by chance. It recognized it, and in recognizing it, it may have decided that silence was preferable to speaking. For now, all Earth can do is watch. Radio telescopes strain for every fragment of data, decoding faint whispers in the noise, hoping to catch a glimpse of the hidden true signal from Voyager beneath the interference. But the more time the silence continues, the clearer the reality becomes. Voyager 2 might no longer belong to us. If its transmitter has been bent in the direction of 3 Atlas's rhythm, then the probe is no longer ours to command. It has been repurposed, turned into a node in a network we do not understand. And if an interstellar object has the ability to do this at billions of miles away, then distance is no defense. Earth's satellites, its communication systems, even its defenses orbiting just above the atmosphere, all may be vulnerable to the same influence. The silence of Voyager may not be the end of its mission. It may be the admonition that humankind itself is about to step into the same shadow. As Voyager 2's voice faded, Earth itself began to whisper. Seismographs across the planet detected strange tremors, albeit subtle, that echoed every 84 seconds. The same rhythm observed in 3 Atlas's crimson pulse and, disturbingly, in the ghost signals now attributed to Voyager. At first, researchers disregarded the correlation as coincidence, but when instruments in Chile, Japan, and Iceland at the same time all reported the same pulse interval, skepticism gave way to dread. It was as if the planet had been pulled into resonance, its crust vibrating a little in tune with a cosmic beat carried over billions of miles. If a human-made machine might be hijacked into silence, What happens when Earth itself, a far more delicate system, falls deeper into the same rhythm? The Venezuelan quakes may not have been isolated events, but the first manifestations of a resonance that is only beginning to take hold. Far above Earth's atmosphere, its magnetic shield began to exhibit similar symptoms of disturbance. Magnetometers in multiple observatories recorded abrupt jolts of energy, not the usual smooth waves of geomagnetic storms, but sharp spikes that repeated in intervals suspiciously close to 3 Atlas's beat. Auroras bled into skies thousands of miles from their normal boundaries, illuminating unaccustomed regions in the manner of extraordinary displays. Airline pilots reported erratic compass drift and errors in navigation that appeared and vanished in time, while satellites temporarily lost orientation, as if pulled by invisible hands. None of these problems coincided with direct solar flares aimed at Earth, which has prompted some to speculate that the influence wasn't coming from the sun at all, but through the comet's enormous plasma envelope, a charged web of particles stretching through the solar system, feeding disturbances directly into Earth's protective shield. If Voyager 2 was the first to fall silent under this influence, Earth's magnetosphere may be next, leaving the planet exposed to storms it was never meant to face. As Earth's anomalies came into focus, Mars provided a terrifying assurance that this was not a case of imagination. Spacecraft orbiting the red planet captured unexpected auroras sweeping across its skies, brighter and more widespread than any interaction with the solar wind could justify. Even more startling were seismic readings taken from the instruments of the InSight lander, which reported Mars quakes that appeared to coincide with 3 Atlas's pulsing glow. A barren world, devoid of oceans and a global magnetic field with no tectonic activity to amplify its restlessness, was trembling under the same rhythm that silenced Voyager. To planetologists, this was a revelation and a warning. The reverberation was not confined to Earth. It was systemic, encompassing all planets, integrating worlds into a single cosmic beat. If Mars could tremble in sympathy despite being miles away, then Earth, far more complex and fragile, might only be experiencing the beginning of a far greater chain reaction. With Voyager silent and both Earth and Mars beginning to shake, theories began to multiply, each more alarming than the last. Some argued that 3 Atlas was not a comet at all, but a probe, an apparatus for testing the systems of any star it entered, silencing or stealing the technology it came across. Others proposed that it was less a machine and more a living entity, feeding on plasma and resonance, using its vast coma as a sensory organ to probe planets and spacecraft alike. But the most chilling theory of all was whispered in classified briefings, that Voyager had not simply gone silent, but had been put to new use, its golden record and instruments now tools for something else. If true, then humanity's most distant ambassador has transformed into a transmitter for an intelligence we do not understand. And the silence is not absence, but conversation, one that Earth is not privy to. When news of Voyager 2's silence spread, attention turned inevitably to the artifact it carries, the golden record. That disk of copper, etched with sounds and images of Earth, was designed as a message to any intelligence that might eventually locate the probe. But what if that message has already been intercepted? If 3 Atlas is more than rock and ice, if it really has the ability to manipulate electromagnetic fields, then perhaps the first thing it found was not Voyager's weak signal, but our species' encoded greeting. In that scenario, silence was never the end of communication. It was the beginning.